All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
86, episode 1. New show. Yes. And what is this one even about? Because, numbers for a title, that doesn't say much.
Yeah, this is a show that I have a little bit of info on. This is a show that is a sci-fi.
Okay.
This is a show that has mechs in it.
Cool.
I don't know what form the mechs take in some level. All I know is that people told me that there's some 3D involved in this.
Nice. Okay.
So we just be ready for that. It's also going to be kind of maybe like a Code Geass type show.
Okay.
Where there's
right.
a band of characters and they're trying to fight the power, and all that.
Sure.
But
maybe throw some drills in there
some
too.
ways. Yeah. The cover seems to very much have like a CC type character on the
Gotcha.
on the front.
Cool.
I very much could see that having some kind of a supernatural element to it. I have no idea really of anything beyond what I've said here. But I very much wanted to watch this show when I saw it's coming out on MAL and stuff like that. But
it was quite well received.
Well, I think it's more just that it was my type of show, and
okay.
it wasn't getting negative, kind of stuff in general.
Yeah, you heard that it might be similar-ish to Code Geass, and you were like, "Oh, I see."
Right, exactly. And generally speaking, I would say that those kinds of shows don't do that well in terms of just generally handling their storytelling and stuff.
Yeah,
they end up becoming either too bloated or they just lose track of where they were originally wanting to go. Yeah. And this one I've heard just keeps going.
Okay, cool. Because there have been a few mech shows that I've heard about in past, I don't know, 5-7 years or something like that. But none of them really seemed to stand the test of time. Like after a while had passed, people didn't really seem to keep talking about them. So yeah, I'm curious what the situation is with this one.
And I know a lot of people, especially ones that aren't really familiar with Mecha or Gundam, will get the two mixed up, and this is not a Gundam show.
Right, Gundam is a specific world and everything. This is just, it has mechs.
Yeah. This is something where there are, mechanized weaponry of some kind, which means there's probably a war going on, which means there's going to be politics just in general. There's a couple other tropes you can generally assume that there's going to be perspectives from multiple sides of the conflict. You're not just going to see, one side. There's probably also going to be some crazy twists in general. These kinds of stories just tend to have certain things that will be more twisty. The thing I'm most excited about is we haven't done, I would say, much in the area of sci-fi outside of Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
That's a good point.
That is very old.
Very old.
And before I was born, old,
Space Dandy doesn't exactly count, so,
No, I would not count Space Dandy, really.
It's very different style, so this will be fun, because whenever you get into, mechs and sci-fi and things like that, even though there will be similarities, everyone has their own flavor. Yeah. So what's the flavor of this show?
Yeah, and I also would love to see a more modern take on kind of a sci-fi war story of stuff like that, because if that's the case, a lot of the things that were the case of these types of shows in the past, I would say don't work as well in modern storytelling as much. So maybe seeing the ways in which this pays homage to that, but is also different, would be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Okay.
Jumping right into it.
We're on a railway.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit!
Oh, awesome!
Whoa! Oh, shit!
Damned 11s, okay.
Yeah.
The 3D is beautiful.
Oh, this is really cool. So these are piloted. Okay. You can see the cockpit.
I love that the mechs are low to the ground. It feels very practical.
Cool.
Okay.
Wow, just thrown right into it.
Consider me interested.
Yeah. Okay, family.
Let's show the cute anime girl. Dead parents.
Oh. Yeah, saluting flowers, not like some kind of national emblem. 2148, okay. 85 sections, so 86 is the conquered section. Yeah, it definitely feels very Code Geass then. Oh,
Is there maybe
shit.
some genetic stuff
Yeah,
going
there's some
on?
genetics things going on here to create the the superior race, maybe. Because of the advances in technology.
Right.
Oh, very
my God.
ethical. Corruption and
Yeah.
just general. So she wants reform.
Oh, that is an awesome statue.
Yeah. So that was the fight that happened before. Gotcha.
Oh, wait, that voice.
Yeah, that's
Both of them.
yeah. Yeah, I recognize both of them, yeah.
Huh.
Elitism.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, no casualties from the Republic, so
Right. Shit.
using conquered peoples as
As soldiers.
soldiers, yeah. Oh, a nice little neural link.
Okay.
Whoa. You're problematic. So you're getting promoted. Yeah.
All right.
Jerome. Or Jerome.
Okay.
Here
Okay.
we go. Also, he's in 86.
Okay.
Wait, what? Wow.
Interesting.
That's not who she is. Wow. Wow.
God damn.
Oh, like her father. And her father's dead.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So this isn't necessarily a promotion. This could be them trying to shunt her off to a
Make
place
sure she
where
gets in line.
She'll be gotten rid of too.
Sure. Damn.
Haha.
Damn. That's a rare thing. Feels kind of like a Blade Runner thing of, oh, this is real?
Ah.
I promise.
He cried tears of joy. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big cream puff. Oh God.
That's gross.
And the crunch.
Yeah. He's dead, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. They have no love for you.
Oh, no, why would they?
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, she's gonna try and document it.
Oh. For a second, I thought we were gonna get like an ED or something. Oh, this is the Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, their squad. Okay. Oh, even better. They're children.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
All different kinds of hair colors.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And they have actual real food.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Oh, there's so many little things they're peppering throughout this episode here.
There's so much personality in like this whole
and
area.
World building.
Like they have worked to try and make this place a home.
And yet, I get the vibe they don't actually live here. This is just where they're currently at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn. Oh, the low... Like, the
damn.
Oh.
Okay.
Sheen. Okay. That's Undertaker's name. Okay.
Okay. So many of these characters are gonna die.
Yeah. So many of them. But also, like, the bonds forged in conflict. Ah!
Oh, okay. There.
Yep, and back to the present. Okay. Oh, hell yeah. Heads-up displays
so
and everything.
Cool.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
Holy shit.
What's going on? Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Wait.
Uh-huh.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool.
Being haunted by the ghosts in the shell.
Mm-hmm. And here she is, okay. Cool!
God damn!
Oh, that was awesome!
Holy
Yo,
shit!
This
that
first episode.
Yeah.
It's a doozy.
It really was. Like,
we got so much info that we had to spend like practically a discussion's worth of time just taking notes of everything here.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
And I gotta say, it was also really cool information to take down. You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes when it's like, okay, there's a show, there's a lot of stuff that's like, okay, this is going to be important.
Yeah, let's get everybody's names.
Let's get everybody's names and all that stuff, you know. But like with this, it's like, oh shit, they all have like call signs and everything. Okay, that's cool. Whatever the situation is the deal with this like para-raid tech. All right, awesome.
Sharing senses for the purpose of optimal, battle, strategic, dissemination of information and what have you. It's like, okay, yeah, but also, there's people that are going crazy because after they work with this squad, they end up hearing the voices of the dead.
Yeah.
Which, okay, all right. I really like that one because there's a literal reason why that can happen from just war and the fact that the Republic apparently probably keeps their people as far away from war as possible. Maybe most of them don't know what it's even like to experience the horrors of war,
of course
so they just get a taste of it and they go crazy. You know?
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of like there ends up being problems when like you show more than just the sounds. That could be like an actual overload on the brain like they're talking about. I don't want to overcomplicate it and say that it's something more than that, but it could also just be that instead of it being essentially a radio thing, you're actually seeing war. It was a big deal when the TV was invented and suddenly people weren't just hearing about the war on the radio, they were actually getting to see camera footage of what was happening, you know? And it's like, it's a completely different story then.
Also, the other thing that I would absolutely assume that this culture would do for their military people that seem to be so blasé about all this shit, they would absolutely be like, all right, here's your orders, do the thing, and mute.
Sure.
So there might be just a thing where the Undertaker or the Reaper or Shin, I love that we have now 3 ways to identify this guy.
Khaleesi, Mother of Dragons.
Yeah.
Right.
All of these things are just squad leader, like, yeah.
Like we actually took down like 20 of the code names. Some of them were like covered by the subtitles, so we couldn't quite make them out. But like, and the idea that on top of that, we might also get the actual names, since that's how they refer to each other when they're not like on the job. Cool. But then on top of that, there's the whole thing of like, wait, they're also dying, but then like how many of them are going to survive, and like we're probably going to care about like a large portion of them by the time the show is over. Oh boy. Like,
all right,
technical conflicts, emotional conflicts, foreshadowing for future conflicts that could be world building and all sorts of other things. Like, all right.
Yeah, we got ourselves a proper sci-fi with child soldiers. There's a lot of Ender's Game that I definitely vibe with here. I could definitely see a lot of influence from older classic sci-fis that bring up basically the elements of how warfare being handled by children, because you end up in a world where technology is so advanced that you don't need someone to be physically capable of, picking up a weapon or, running for 60 miles or what have you. It's all drones. It's all technology. Except it's not. Because, wouldn't there be a world where the utopia exists for everybody?
But not everybody.
No, we created a world where, in this case, we genetically modified everybody over the course of time, or there was some selective breeding going on.
Some shit happened.
That's its own shit that we'll deal with eventually. But then the fact that, why isn't the 86th sector part of the Republic? Well,
who knows?
There could be a number of reasons, but for whatever reasons, there's some hardcore xenophobic stuff going on here, where we have not only them being sent in as child soldiers, which is its own thing.
Yep.
But then they don't even report them as actual casualties because they don't consider them to be human.
Right.
They consider them to be subhuman to the point
Yeah.
where they're like, why are you reporting casualties?
You should really stop that.
You should stop. That it doesn't make sense.
It's not helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
It's also inaccurate, you know.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But then that's been happening for so long that it's just the culture of then these child soldiers to then be like, oh, the pigs are calling. Oh, okay.
Right. Yep.
All right.
And I gotta say, I think my favorite part about what's been established with this episode is that, like, so obviously a lot of Code Geass inspiration, right?
Oh, yeah.
11s, 86s, cool, right? But the biggest problem that I had with Code Geass, well, not the biggest problem, one of the things that I think Code Geass could have been better with is that it made everything so overtly one-sided with regards to the 11s and the, you know, Britannia and all that
That's
stuff.
the thing. We don't know who the 86s are fighting.
No, right. But
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
That it almost felt to the point of like some sort of like I don't know. It was a very stark sort of setup. Here though, we already have a situation where the 86 are being treated like non-humans, right? But we also have something where the very things that the society gets as a result of having these 86s fight their wars for them and die for them, they don't get a lot of the basic things that the 86s have, right? They don't get to eat real food, right? Real
most
eggs.
of them might not
what is
even
that?
care.
Yeah, most of
They might not even know.
Right, there could be all sorts of reasons for why this happens, right? Whether it's something where it's it's better this way, or you know, or whatever. But
Sure.
there is a longing in not just the main character, but other people in the world to have something be different. They can tell that something's wrong, but they don't quite know what it is. It might just be I wish we had real food, right? And they don't care about the 86s or whatever, right? But then, meanwhile, you have the 86s. They get a lot of the stuff that society doesn't,
And
right?
they might not necessarily see it as special.
Nope. It's just that's just regular stuff. That's just
I made an omelet.
they made an omelet. They had
Threw
some chickens.
peppers in there.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, they treat people as people. You know, like, oh yeah, it's just.
I mean, the Republic treats people as people. They just only treat the people of the Republic as people.
Right,
Because there's no
exactly.
other people, right?
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. We still don't know what they're fighting against right now.
No.
And in kind of some ways, I like the eerie nature of having no knowledge as to what they're fighting, because it could literally be, like, this is just something that's interesting to bring up here. It could literally be a rogue AI. Like, it could literally just be, oh, yeah, the older batch of the Legion or what have you. Yeah, they went rogue and we've been fighting them for like a while now. And that's why we're going to disband the current Legion so that these ones don't eventually get hacked or something.
Right.
You know,
the fact that they have the para raid be a plot point piece of technology rather
human
than
to tech.
Well,
tech
right.
to human.
But rather than just like a fucking Discord call, that's curious.
It's
to
very
me.
curious. That's why
Because-
I thought AI initially, because if it's something where there's tech that makes it so that the Legion could theoretically be hacked, then they couldn't have them be pilotless. You would need people to actually control them so that it's not something where... Because at the very least, whatever they're fighting is using very similar mech-type drones to whatever they're doing. And that just might be that it's another country, another faction that, of course, uses whatever is the latest up-to-date technology. That is how war exists nowadays.
Right. Both people have drone-ish armies, and they fight each other, and there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like today, nowadays, it's basically whoever has the most jets, planes of the highest tech.
Best
will
cyber
probably,
warfare, you know.
Well, right, but it's usually when it comes to conventional weapons, it is planes. Like right now, whoever has the best air force will win. Because it doesn't matter if you can field 100,000 soldiers. If you just have air power up there, you will destroy anything.
The World Wars proved that.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Pretty sound.
But I mean, even nowadays, that is how, right now with what's going on up with Russia and Ukraine and all that, that is essentially how this is all going down.
Right.
So
all right.
Here we
are.
Yeah.
And the idea that people could hear the voices of the dead with this para-raid technology. So,
yeah.
that that feels like it's going into some wonky territory because they specifically said that it's not just sending an audio call or whatever. You're directly sharing the senses. That seems like something that gets very involved with the brain. If that happens, is there a possibility that like
they're not sharing like
funky
literally
shenanigans
just
could happen?
The input of the ears. It's the in your mind when you imagine the voices of the dead. Does the other people hear it?
Right. Or like, yeah, it feels very like it's towing the line of the Ghost in the Shell type thing.
Sure.
If you made something that was able to, a machine that replicated the human brain, what happens? You know, like what does that mean? What does that do? You know, so who knows how in depth this technology goes because it's fairly experimental. We don't need to worry about long-term side effects because, well, the 86 die super quickly anyways. It doesn't matter. Right
now, that was in a different context. The reason why they don't have to worry about the short term, I believe, was with regards to the fact that when the war is over, I can go back to that part
that
there.
too. Yeah, they're
sorry, not the war being over, but when the Legion being disbanded. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah, that's only going to last for another couple years. So you know,
the military is just a jobs program right now. When the Legion shuts down in 2 years, former military isn't going to mean a thing on your resume.
Right.
Thanks. But we're at war right now. It's just those processors are crazy. We don't know the long-term effect. Oh, right. We don't know the long-term effects. You're right.
Right.
The 86 died quickly, so the long-term doesn't matter. Damn.
But I don't want that for you. And that's interesting because it's something where
you're right, yeah.
You don't care about the 86 because you believe them to be subhuman. Okay. All right. That's fucked up. But as far as the logic of it, if you believe that, then not worrying about the long-term effects of the para-raid, cool. But you have your own people also using the same technology.
Right.
And you still don't care about the long-term effects. It feels kind of odd.
Well, like, in some ways, this is something that they're already like virtually like blaring at us right in our faces here. She doesn't even understand the technology that well.
Yeah.
The way that they're disseminating the information about Para-Raid to us is from the standpoint of someone that should know a bit of the stuff there because she's in the R&D department. But she said that her father was one of the... Well, no, the Lena said her father, that Annette's father was one of the ones that designed a lot of the core principles and what have you for Para-Raid. But he's gone.
And she even said... Well, yeah, he didn't do the whole thing. He helped.
He helped, and someone else actually like helped begin that. And
there's a lot of like passing the buck.
Well, not only passing the buck, because that's more of a responsibility thing of like who's to blame, but the idea that she doesn't even know necessarily who that someone else is.
Right.
The way she said that so vaguely of someone else did that. And it sounded to me like she doesn't know.
And it could be something where, like,
it could be top secret.
It could be top secret, classified type stuff, so then she doesn't know. Cool. It could be something where we already have enough names being dropped in this episode, so if the person isn't going to be relevant to the story, don't actually say their name, because that can set improper expectations for the audience.
Right.
Very legitimate reason. There's a lot that's happening in this episode, right? But it could also be something where it's foreshadowing some future plot points because at the same time, the fact that they're mentioning this, yes, is it talking about Annette's dad that isn't here anymore? Sure. But that seems to be more of like the connection point of why we should care about it. And they're really introducing something that is going to be relevant from a world building standpoint with the Para-Raid and all of that stuff.
It doesn't have to be this, but I think this is potentially another hint about it being an AI. Again, that if you had this kind of technology... This technology is just really advanced. It's the kind of thing where when I assume where the human race will be in 2040, 2148, I think we'll absolutely have AI advanced to the point where it could absolutely be a problem. But not only that, I think the idea of a neural link is kind of basic.
Yeah, like I feel like that's going to happen a lot before 2148.
That's going to happen probably in the next 50 years, I would say.
Sure.
Like, easily. But the idea of it being a common thing, like it's something where it's like, oh yeah, of course we have this. But not necessarily knowing the side effects and all that other stuff, that feels backwards for a society like this.
Yeah.
That feels like they're actually not telling us the full, comprehensive purpose and potential of the technology because they're too low level to know that stuff.
And that's one of the things that I find so interesting about the juxtaposition, or not the juxtaposition, the contrast between the Life of the People in the Republic and the Life of the 86. Now, granted, maybe there are some 86 that aren't like in a military squad or whatever, but that's what we saw from them so far. Is that if the screen at the beginning with the lady talking, that was propaganda.
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
Now, propaganda, I would say, is used because there is something else that people could believe that you don't want them to.
Right, which is that our society is not very ethical or humane. We use 86s as human fodder, basically.
And or to give a simpler explanation to something so that they don't end up asking uncomfortable questions. Not just the moral, ethical questions about the 86, but other potential things of like, wait, how do these things work? I could absolutely see this being some kind of like a psychopath Sybil situation where it's like we have this perfect system that works great, you know, and then it's like, oh wait, but when you actually find out what's behind that, it's like, oh, this is the people that are living in this society, if they were to find out about what is going on behind the curtain, even with all the benefits that they get, would not actually submit to it, right?
I think there's a very clear theme of the over-reliance on machines for the Republic, and thus their humanity is degraded,
Feels
at a fundamental level.
Weirdly, it reminded me of like WALL-E, when like with the fake food and everything, of just like, oh yeah, they're in a place, and you know.
I think the food thing is just a good world building thing to show that there is an element of, well, if you had a society where you've probably eliminated disease, like disease is just not an issue. You have specific parameters that you need to maintain in order to have this structure and order be like perfect. Have it be untarnished.
Yep.
Now, there's obviously all the ethical fuckery going around with the fact that not everyone's involved in this whole thing there. There's specifically a whole sector of people that are not involved in all this, and they're painfully aware of how not involved in all this they are.
Right.
They don't even know necessarily the context of what the Republic has, but all that to say, our main character is someone who is upset at the status quo. They are aware that the status quo is fucked up, and they are trying to, at the very least, do their part to
counterbalance it.
To stir up basically some noise. They are not like a head of an organization or what have you that's trying to lead a new political movement or what have you.
But they're trying to connect emotionally with the people that are in this shitty situation and treat them like human beings.
Right. She shows empathy.
Right.
Something that everyone else basically goes, that's kind of a waste of time. Like, why are you doing that? That's weird.
And to be frank, it kind of is. Even for the 86, they don't want that.
No.
Right? They're like, we're in this shitty situation. Why are you trying to pretend to be, you know, the good guy or someone that cares about us? If you cared about us, what are you doing in this position? Yeah, what are you doing about it?
And that's a great thing to
Thanks for your thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, exactly.
Know, like,
it feels exactly like that, where you have a character that doesn't actually have the capacity at this moment to do anything about it. But already the people around her might have just sent her to die because she's making just a bit too much noise. You know, she's great and all. So we'll have her lead this group, and if she leads them the longest and the most effective over the next 2 years,
then good. We win either way, you know.
And if she dies or commits suicide at the end of that, then, you know,
that's just one less problem maker, you know, troublemaker.
Great.
I very much get the vibe of an AI-led society because, so this is another thing that if you have a society this advanced to the point where, from the hair color and things like that, I think it's reasonable to assume that they have the ability to genetically tailor their own, you know, biology to suit their needs, right?
Yep.
If that's the case, why the segregation? Why the why ostracize the 86?
Again, I think that's because it's darker than that. It's more selective breeding, and it's some really.
Okay,
shit.
Sure. Okay,
It's
could
literal
be
racism. It's just
right.
You know.
But like if it was something like that, I would see that as being less less clear cut, less like precise, you know?
Well, yeah, that's why I think it's a little bit of a reach to go that they're genetically modifying people, because right now the main thing of technology that we've brought up as being the most sci-fi in this world here is Pararade, which is basically a sharing of biology. It is not necessarily a crystallization or a perfection of biology. It has nothing to do with improving biology in that regard.
No, right. The Pararade is, from what we've seen it do, is actually shockingly low tech, and feels strange that it would have any kind of side effects. You can have someone watch a video feed, you know, and not go crazy or whatever. You know, like the human brain is pretty fantastic.
Which means it's actually way higher tech than what we're being led to believe, and thus those side effects are there because of something deeper going on that has nothing to do with sharing senses.
Unless it's something where it's just, because I think that's what it is, but just as the, you know, it could be that it's just this is something that is established as for how the world works, and so
we need to have that as a foundation.
Right, we need to have that as a foundation. It's a rule that might not necessarily make sense later on, so we set it up at the beginning, so it's just that's part of how it is. That's part of the premise, you know. But if it was something where they did have genetic capabilities or whatever, right, like modification type stuff to the point where it's like, everyone has the same hair color. That's just a guarantee, right? Would the 86 be the people that, like, somehow weren't fit to be modified, weren't able to be modified, or refused to be modified at some point? Or maybe even better, if the society is being led by some people with nefarious intent.
Yeah, this is
they
good.
Can't have everybody.
Well, then why
be? They need people to pilot the drones. They need people to be in the disposable situations, so they differentiate them.
But if you realize the way this kind of dominoes into something else here, this is a bit of a theory upon a theory, so holding this with a grain of salt. But why is 86 not in the Republic?
We don't know.
Well, I think it's very obvious. They are technically in the Republic, but they are not originally in the Republic. They are from a conquered
they were like
people.
Annexed. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Who are they fighting? The 86. They're fighting other humans,
right?
That the 86 were a part of.
Sure.
And they are just a conquered territory that's been dubbed 86, and it's like, okay, cool.
We're gonna go to 87 and 88, and
yeah, we'll eventually get more.
This is actually just part of your hazing. You know, once we conquer the next territory, then you'll be able to get
Now
get the white hair and everything.
This breaks down in a lot of ways because I feel like the people in the 86 territory or district here would have more issues with if they knew that they were fighting basically their fellow countrymen or what have you.
Exactly.
So I don't think that's necessarily the case. But
the way it's been set up, this has been their whole life, right? From the way I see it, right? There's nothing else that they're bringing into the situation from like previous experiences or whatever. It's just this is how it is. They're very young. They probably knew that this was what they were gonna what was gonna happen with them.
I feel like they're setting up that's not exactly the case though.
Okay.
There was a point when they were brought in to be soldiers. There is a place that is training them.
Sure.
The idea of veterans means that they are the ones that are just lasted the longest.
Right, and they're still this young.
Right. But I don't think, given the way in which they need to be so independent like this, that you could actually have any babies or, because logistically, no one here is old enough to have birthed any of the other ones here. So this is not necessarily their whole life. There was a point where they had families.
Sure.
There was a place
and they get
where
grabbed
they were
from there, and yeah. And that's probably how they keep that pocket of civilization.
And they're not literally
check,
fighting in Territory 86 right now. They're on a front, the Eastern Front. They said so. Wherever 86 is, wherever that territory is, it's probably very, very closely monitored, governed. Guarded is a way to say it.
Right.
And I feel like that is going to be one of the big reveals when we find out what Territory 86 even looks like.
That place is probably the only real farm in the Republic.
Well, that's the other thing. if you have them fighting your wars for you, why stop there? Why not? Why not have them grow your food? Why not have them necessarily also be your prison colony?
Right. The things that I could potentially see for it is that maybe with regards to the combat, there needs to be a level of agency and ability to think on your feet that like machines wouldn't have. So if it was something like agriculture and just farming and stuff, it's like, okay, you have a robot that's actually not piloted by anybody that comes in and does the thing, right?
But again, they say they use unmanned drones. They are not using unmanned drones.
Well, it's unhuman manned drones.
Well, right, but the only piece of technology that we've seen that looks like it could be an unmanned drone of kind were the little birds things that very much look like they could be like scouting tech, maybe
Big Brother's watching kind of deal or something.
Yeah, something
nanomachines, son.
Right, yeah, and something that's more useful for the purpose of scouting. They're the cameras that are giving the handlers the actual tactical view of what's going on, because they're not syncing up to a machine. They're syncing up to another human brain that is giving them auditory stuff.
Right.
Therefore, what are the computers using to actually see the battlefield? Well, probably some other piece of technology that is not in the drones, because that would be a single point of failure. If a drone then dies or destroyed, basically.
Oh, sure. For like when they have their heads-up display with like that. Okay, these people are here and all of that stuff. Yeah,
how are they getting that? It's probably from
those things.
The little things.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you just make enough of them that it's like even if they were shot down or whatever.
Even if 100 of them are good, you got like 1,000 in the air.
Right.
And also, given the way that these like spider tanks, which I love because it calls back actually to Supreme Commander in a fun way. Just a video game that I played a lot of.
That was a great game.
Great game, but they had these spider tank bots, and you had the small ones that were fast, and you had the giga-sized big ones that had these big cannons. Well, those big cannons, weirdly enough, sucked against air. So in this world where they're fighting with highly advanced technological warfare,
everything's on the ground.
Why is everything on the ground? That's extra stupid.
Yeah.
You could have aircraft come in here and take everything out, unless, bring back to the AI again on some level, just being in the air is death for some kind of technology.
Sure.
That means your trajectory is that predictable.
Well,
or you're that easily detected by like sensor stuff. Like
another way
radar.
I could see there being a purpose to that is if the society is motivated to have transportation be difficult. If you have some people that are child soldiers and stuff, right, and being subjugated and forced into this, you don't necessarily want them to be able to go somewhere quickly.
You wouldn't want necessarily the people of the Republic to go anywhere.
Well, sure, that too, but like especially for the people that have like the missiles and guns and stuff, because then they could actually do something, right? Separation. They're one squad in one place. You don't want them to be able to be like, hey, if we communicated and then all flew to the Republic at the same time, we could kind of fuck up their day.
That's true. Maybe it is a thing where the Republic has an air force, and they just never deploy it because they don't have to.
Right.
And that would lead to maybe an aspect of human, like, from their perspective, human
if that's the case, that's interesting then that the other side also doesn't use an air force.
Again, that's why I think
But this could just be part of the world setup.
It could be a part of the world setup, but I will just tell you, this is not a fictional world. This is Earth. They showed us a global look of everything, and there was very clearly a map of Europe that they were showing. So, this is the world, our Earth, 2148. No aircraft, shitty Neuralink.
Yeah.
They are very much trying to go for this is what the world could end up being. And yet the things that make the most sense thus far as like it being exactly how the people perceive it to be, is that there's a fucked up super utopia that's using child soldiers from an annexed or disassociated district or territory as their pilots, as their weapons, and what have you. And it's like, cool, all right.
But
yeah,
regardless of any aircraft stuff, the mechs themselves are fucking awesome.
They're awesome.
Like, the way that the action was used in this episode, I adored. It was
chaotic.
It was chaotic. It was fast. It didn't last long, and we didn't get as in depth of a perspective of it because most of our perspective is from the point of view,
Lena.
right, of Lena, right, where she doesn't necessarily know a whole lot of what's going on because that's intentional. You're removed from it. You don't want to have to deal with that shit, and yet we know that there's intense shit going on.
Right.
So I loved that so much. In addition to just the mechs with the 3D looking really, really fucking cool.
Really good.
Yeah.
All right. The Reaper. Shin.
Right.
We're going to get to know him. He's very clearly the main character for this side of the conflict.
Yep.
So in terms of kind of what I expected we would get, which was more of we're going to show kind of Legend of the Galactic Heroes style two sides of the conflict. In this case, we're actually showing both sides of the same side.
Right.
Which is, okay, his life is he reads.
Yep.
He helps basically protect and maintain the squad that he's a part of, the Spearhead Squadron. They've got personality. They've all got different races of people, different colors of hair. They all have personality, and they not only have call signs that are probably ones that they gave themselves, they also have names that are very different from the almost uniformed type names of the people of the Republic.
Oh yeah,
that all felt very similar.
There was more life happening in this group of subjugated child soldiers at their base. Yeah. Than we saw in like in the summation of the society of the Republic.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it's sad, basically.
Oh yeah.
And then they also had the great food. We saw an animal, which I don't believe we saw an animal in the Republic.
Oh hell no! If they don't have real eggs like most of the time, then you can bet they probably don't have real animals because otherwise just chickens and there you go. You know.
Well, right. They probably do the Matrix thing of here's your protein. You're perfect. Yeah, it's not even a choice thing. This is probably the food that you need to survive throughout the day.
Exactly.
And if you want to have experiences that could give you the simulated feeling of going to a cafe, like we saw some old people at a cafe. So probably they have a pretty decent life expectancy in general. Because of technological advances and stuff like that.
Right.
But then they probably don't necessarily even have real, like coffee, for instance,
Yeah, or who knows? Maybe they have it, but it's just rare enough that it's a luxury. That's what you do when you're splurging or something,
Sure.
But society has figured out what is optimal for everybody.
And apparently the 86 aren't optimal. Or
they are in a very particular way.
Yeah. I love that the military people seem to all know what's going on, though. Now, obviously, Lena, we're going to just call her Lena from here on out, because Vladilena Mileze.
It's a very cool name.
It's a very cool name, but it's a bit
mouthful.
much.
Yeah.
Lena is very aware of what's going on, and the bumblefucks walking down the stairs said, that fucking processor or what have you, obviously, meaning they know they're speaking to an actual, person. They know. There's no, there's no,
Right, I believe, if I recall, if I have
each one of them is a processor. That's what they're...
Gotcha.
All the members of the squadron here are a processor, basically.
Okay, I thought that a processor was someone else in the chain of command that was like part of management or something.
No. On the list of the thing there of all the names on the roster, it basically gave the number of processors, right? So here, squadron leaders, processor
list of
01.
Processors. Okay, yeah.
Right, list of processors.
Okay,
01
cool.
is Undertaker, which is the Reaper.
All right,
so
awesome.
They're very much aware of how dare that processor, talk to me like that. And that's the thing, is that for the purpose of doing things strategically, they have to follow the orders of the handler enough so that they don't die because they want to win the war. So they'll probably, if they're good, actually do a decent job of keeping the 86 alive in their squadron so that they can win and be more effective and what have you. But the handlers are stuck listening to whatever the 86s are talking about or listening to.
Right, because they are... There is no mute button. They're hearing everything.
Right. So they are on a COD lobby, literally probably spewing racist shit at each other.
That's actually a good point. When I think about actual functionality of why they don't just have it be like a Discord call or something, it's probably as a security thing to make sure that there is nothing that they can do. There's no talk of rebellion that they can give. Yeah, they are wired into it.
They're always being listened to.
So if there's ever any talk of sedition or whatever, that's like more than just the fuck those guys,
Yeah, exactly.
They will hear it. They will know of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And thus, I think this is their revenge. The Reaper, or Shin here, is intentionally trying to do what he can, and I love that they gave him red eyes as well. That's very intentional. Trying to have vengeance upon them, basically, by remembering them, or maybe focusing on the voices that, like, as he did, like, in his mind, like he's maybe imagining them constantly, to try and be like, here, fuck you people, like,
if you're getting it from the brain, I mean, I'm sure they would have a way of differentiating, but like, not if the people that tune in to him end up hearing the voices of his dead comrades that he hears. That would imply that it's more of a connection to his thoughts than just tapping into the signals that the ears are directly sending. Because the ears won't be sending those actual messages because he's not actually hearing the voices of the dead people unless ghosts are real in this world, right?
Right, which I assume it's going to be a technological thing than an actual supernatural thing.
Right, where then it's like, it's essentially a either a malfunction or like a working too well kind of a thing.
Right.
Where they end up hearing something that they're not supposed to, but why is this happening?
Maybe that they are supposed to, but that's the thing of R&D. You're trying to make the technology better. And maybe just in general, the technology was always going to be going in this direction where they would eventually be able to control the minds of the 86. And then it's a thing where it's like, oh, no, this is not a thing at all about, melding brains or what have you. This is eventually setting up a situation where people could then control machines, or machines could control people.
Right.
You could do all kinds of things with that.
Right, because, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
So there are a lot of things that have been set up in this episode, and there are enough inconsistencies to beg for questions.
Exactly.
But the show has not made it clear which ones are just quirks of the world versus which ones are like, pay close attention to that. And then we have things like the chalkboard with the 129 days
with the pig winking on the side there. Like, I can't with all the
right. And what does that 129 days mean? Because the army being disbanded is in 2 years.
Yeah, that's not 2 years.
That is not this. What's going on?
Maybe, this is a thought here, 4 months is not a long time. That's a very short amount of time in terms of comparatively to 2 years.
Sure.
But there's a possibility that this group here will be pulled from the front lines.
Sure.
So they'll be put into the reserve. And this is basically their, like, hey, we're doing it. We were promised, probably, you're going to end your service in 129 days. And that could literally be then we go and take you out behind the shed and execute all of you.
Yep, that could absolutely be it.
Or you get brought back to the farm and we turn you into slaves, basically.
Right, you're now birthing the next generation or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It could be that kind of
you guys did good, so your offspring will probably do good, right? Raise them and teach them so that they'll survive out there too.
I very much see the breeder culture involved there with all the women being told, get married and what have you, but also the idea that the Spearhead Squadron, this group here, the first unit or what have you, this is the point where they probably have the most power over their lives. They choose when they live or die.
Yeah.
And the thing that's scary about that is then, in my opinion, that means for the story to have the most impact is going to be them being in the squadron and doing everything they can to stay there, so that they probably have that feeling of like, I'm able to do something about this.
Right.
And yet they have this hope image here, which in my mind immediately goes, something about this is false. Except for the hilarious little line at the bottom that says,
Fucking glory to the Spearhead Squadron. Yeah.
Basically, we're immortalizing ourselves through our
in this
shared
moment we
experience.
Are infinite.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just awesome.
The other thing that I wonder about is if the 86s know that the Republic people only tune in to sound. Because if that's the case,
interesting.
They could theoretically communicate each other through written things. Sign language, writing signs down and things like that. And I think this is very far out there theory.
I think they know because of the way they were drawing. Remember, she was drawing on the thing there?
Right, exactly.
The pig in a dress, you know?
Right, but if they're doing that to have laughs about, like, you know, things like that, you could theoretically have them have already come up with some plan of rebellion or something like that.
Might be what they're doing with the handlers.
Well, right, and the 129 days, that could be the this is D-Day, this is when it goes down, and once that reaches 0,
we'll be ready to go.
We and maybe a bunch of other people are going to go ape shit. You know,
damn, that's a good idea.
But like, when I think of what I would. What I might think to try and do if I was in a situation as horrific as that, it would be something, you know,
you'd be like revolution, baby.
Yeah.
How are we doing
like, is there any way that we can at least think of, you know, like something to do? Because our life expectancy is already so short. It's not just a life in subjugation. It's no, we are going to die in, you know, several years.
Yeah. Now, you know, because of the way that they're not being led previously before the new handler. Lena jumped in. They didn't lose anybody in the previous engagement when we shifted back 10 days. But in this one, they did lose somebody. And you were very good in catching that it was a wolf on this thing there, and he was cutting off that bit of the insignia. So it's probably number 5, werewolf.
Right.
Or it could be black dog, number 17.
We don't know. That's a good catch, yeah.
But the idea that that's another one dead. They don't have many people in this squad. It's like 24 people. Maybe.
And they haven't been getting replenished either. Like, when it showed the dossier, like, it was just destroyed, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah. But okay. Y'all.
Excellent start to a show.
Fantastic start to a show. I could very easily see this also being just a typical premiere where we needed to get a lot of info dumped on us. Now that we're going to move the pacing along after that.
It can pick up the pace, yeah.
Right. And that's the main thing I'm hoping for, is that we have like a little bit more of a evenly paced out dumping of info in future bits. But I could also see them getting into the politics and life of being in the Republic, versus then shifting into the perspective of those in the squad, the Spearhead Squadron.
And I still thought that the way that they did the exposition was actually quite good.
I agree, yeah.
There was just a lot of it.
There's just a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.